Thanks to the combination of NVIDIA and AMD offering GPUs that people actually want to upgrade to or worth upgrading to, a chip shortage that's even affecting car manufacturers, and, of course, crypto miners and bots, there is a massive lack of GPUs and CPUs out on the market. Even buying a used GPU is almost impossible right now, and so when you see more cards coming out, there's kind of pros and cons. Having a new card available means that there is likely to be a, at very least, small infusion of stock that you might be able to pick up on. But it also means another model that you probably aren't able to buy. Luckily, AMD offers a slightly sneaky route to get your hands on one of these new cards, specifically this 6700 XT. But I'm not sure that you'll like it. As AMD mentioned in their 6700 XT launch event, they're shipping a number of these cards to system integrators to sell in full systems. So, if you want a 6700 XT right now, the best chance of you getting one is to buy it in a full PC. Now, I know that's not ideal, especially if you have an entirely functional system that you just want to upgrade the graphics card. But if you're the sort of person who has had their system for the last 10 plus years and it's probably time for a full-on upgrade, this could be a good way to get your hands on a powerful graphics card for not an insane markup. But it's probably important to know if you should be buying a system like this. This is from AWD-IT, they sent it over for me to test out, and at least at the time of filming, their website lists them having as around 20 of these in stock that you may or may not be able to go and buy right now. Of course, you might need to be quick on that trigger finger, as I'm sure that these will still sell regardless of if you're interested or not, but it's probably a good idea to see if it's worth buying. So let's have a play. To lay out what you get in this system, it is a Ryzen 5 5600X with 16GB of 3200MHz RAM, of course the RX 6700 XT, specifically this Asus TUF gaming one, which is literally the size of my forearm. In fact, it's longer than my forearm. It's insane. It's also a triple slot card. It's just gargantuan, and I'm not entirely sure why. You do also get a 500GB WD Blue SN550 SSD and a 2TB WD Blue hard drive, although most of those things are configurable on their website, so if you want to buy it with faster 3600MHz RAM or with a bit more, maybe even a bit less depending on what you're after, upgrade the CPU, all of that is customizable. To give you an idea of pricing, it starts at £1,300, although that doesn't come with a Windows license nor the RAM or faster SSD or hard drive, so if you option up to what I have spec'd here, it's a hair over £1,500. So that's the system. What about testing it? Well, unfortunately, I don't have an RTX 3070, which is what AMD is kind of targeting, especially on the pricing side of things, for this to be an apt rival for. I do, however, have a 3060 Ti and the last generation 5700 XT, so I thought that I would test out against those and see how it fares. I'll also be testing at both 1080p and 1440p, so you can see how it plays on each of those, and I'll be giving a separate measurement for SAM, or Smart Access Memory, enabled and disabled, so you can see how that fares too. So, that's the setup, let's take a look at the benchmarks. Starting with Watchdogs Legion, the 6700 XT does lead the pack here, if only slightly. It's only a 4 FPS margin between it and the 3060 Ti, so in-game you're gonna struggle to notice that difference, and the 1% lows are pretty similar too. Comparing to the 5700 XT though, it is a sizable jump, going from 67 to 80. That's definitely noticeable in-game. At 1440p, all of the cards barring the 5700 XT are the same, like literally exactly the same. There isn't too much that I can say here other than for both 1080p and 1440p, Smart Access Memory doesn't seem to have much effect, at least in Watchdogs Legion. But in COD, it matters a lot more. It gave 15 FPS more on average with having SAM enabled than without, which is a really impressive figure. That pushes the 6700 XT's lead on the 3060 Ti from 10 FPS to 25, and a decent lead over the 5700 XT going from 20 FPS to 35. That's a very good thing. At 1440p, Smart Access Memory seems to matter a lot less. It's only about 2 FPS faster from having it enabled, but it is still a decent chunk faster than the 3060 Ti and definitely faster than the 5700 XT. They're all definitely playable experiences, but the 6700 XT clearly has the edge here. In Cyberpunk, Smart Access Memory really saves the day for the 6700 XT, as the, at least in theory, cheaper 3060 Ti beat it by 2 FPS at stock, but with Smart Access Memory enabled, it jumped to 5 FPS faster. The 5700 XT lags behind by a pretty good margin here, although that is to be expected. And it's the same story at 1440p, where the 6700 XT is about 2 FPS slower than the 3060 Ti without SAM enabled, but with it enabled, you're getting around 3 to 4 FPS faster. And lastly, in FORTNITE, the AMD cards seem to really struggle. I'm not entirely sure why, but the 3060 Ti is faster than even the 6700 XT with SAM enabled, and having Smart Access Memory enabled makes a very big difference. You're going from 174 FPS average to 185 with it enabled. That still doesn't match NVIDIA's 189. And it's the same story at 1440p, although the gaps are actually even bigger. Because Smart Access Memory, at least in my testing here, doesn't seem to have as much effect at 1440p, the 3060 Ti has, an 8 FPS advantage over the fastest result I could get with the 6700 XT, and if you didn't have SAM enabled, then you would be looking at 11 FPS slower for the 6700 XT over the 3060 Ti, which I should remind you is meant to be a cheaper card. You do still have a sizable performance advantage over the 5700 XT though, so if you're comparing generation to generation, there is a good gap there, although so is the price. So, especially with Smart Access Memory enabled, the 6700 XT is a hair faster than 3060 Ti. But it really should be. In fact, it should be a fair bit faster, and it should really be trading blows with a 3070 based on its price tag. If you're looking at these purely from a retail or MSRP perspective, then it's kind of difficult to recommend one of these. Sure, if when the dust settles, AMD brings the price down a bit to more match the 3060 Ti, which it's clearly more, in direct competition with, then yeah, it's relatively easy to recommend if those conditions are met, but for the time being, based on its retail pricing, it's a bit more difficult. To give you an example of that, AWD-IT are selling a very similarly spec'd system, also with a Ryzen 5 5600X, but with a 3060 Ti instead of the 6700 XT. There is technically a different case, but even when you map all of the same storage and RAM options, that system comes to £250 cheaper. That's pretty hard to justify. The caveat is that 3060 Ti system is out of stock. Whereas, like I said at the start, at least at the time of filming, they have around 20 of these in stock that you can buy, and that kind of makes all of the difference. Because you're not going to get any of those cards in stock and at retail pricing. The fact that the 6700 XT isn't quite as good as the 3070 that it's priced similarly to, at this very moment in time doesn't really matter. What matters is that there are at least a couple of these that you could technically purchase, and if you want to upgrade, well, technically speaking, this is your only option. If you have the ability to wait for the dust to settle and for cards to be in stock and available, then yes, if you can wait it out and get a 3060 Ti or a 3070 for either less or similar money, and you'll get a better gaming experience. You'll also have access to DLSS right now, whereas AMD's option still isn't available as of yet, and you'll also have better ray tracing performance if that matters to you. But if you want to upgrade right this second, then buying one of these systems doesn't seem like too bad of an option. But those are my thoughts, and I would love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think about the 6700 XT? Is it a card you'd pick up yourself? And if you would you buy it in a system or wait for the stock to settle instead? Feel free to let me know in those comments down below. I will be leaving a link to this system in the description down below. That isn't an affiliate link, it's just a link to AWD-IT, who, like I said, are the ones who sent this system over for me to review. And there will be a load of actual affiliate links that you can check out instead if you want to support the channel when you're making tech purchases, or actually if it's Amazon, any purchase you like. There is, like I said, Amazon, there's also Overclocked UK affiliate links down there. There is options for you to buy some merch like this, for hoodies or t-shirts like this one, a load of other cool designs. There's also Patreon for access to our Money Men Discord chat, sponsor-free videos, and of course you support me directly too, and a load of other links, so feel free to check it out. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments down below as well. There's more videos on the end cards if you want to keep watching, and that's pretty much it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.